I'd like to thank everybody to coming out for our September Planning and Zoning meeting. I'd especially like to thank our City Council representation for being out here and joining us tonight. Would everybody please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your head and uncover. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for your presence amongst us tonight. We ask you to guide us and direct us as we make decisions that are pleasing to the city. Lord, continue to watch over us, protect us, and just keep us in your will. We ask this in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, Commissioners, you've got a copy of the August minutes. They were emailed to you. I think James has got them. Yeah, he's got them on the tables there.
Mike, I'll make a motion that we accept into record the minutes as written.
All right. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll make a second.
There's a second to the motion to accept the minutes as written. Any discussion? There being none, those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passed. All right, the next thing we have on the agenda, there's a request to waive the 6-month waiting list for a rezone on properties on 267 Duggar. We're required within 14.3.6 subsections subsection 6 that if they come before us within 6 months of the last review of a property on the same property, same developer, that we can take it up or we can turn it down. The requirements say 6 months if we want to take it before us. I'm sorry, that was subsection 14.3.5, subsection, looks like it was 7D. We'd like to take this up. It's going to require a 3/4 majority of the commission, 9 members. 3/4 of that is 6.7, so it's going to take 7 members to affirm this. I'll ask again, do we want to take it up? All right, without a motion on the floor to take it up, it sounds like it dies on the vine. Therefore, the petition request for LaRousse Holdings for a rezone of Duggar 267, which is the next item on the agenda, is off the agenda. I don't expect it to come back up again until November at the earliest, since that was held in May. Are there any questions on that, commissioners? Okay. All right, next item on the agenda, preliminary plat for South Fork Phase 3. That is brought before us by, James, help me out.
For Nathan Lee.
All right. Would you like to talk to us, Mr. Robinson?
Yes, sir. This is Phase 3 of South Fork subdivision. It is basically it's an extension of the road, a little cul-de-sac. It's got 13 lots. And as far as I know, we have addressed all of the comments from the city.
Commissioners, did you read the preliminary review by Salt Engineering, Kyle Breckenridge? Did everybody take a look at that?
Yes.
Is Kyle here tonight? I don't think. Where you at? Oh, there you are. All right. Following the paper trail, and I'm just going to go through this real quick. We had comments that started on or about the 28th, and then progressing from you on the 1st, the 5th, and the 23rd, which were actually responses to Bonds Engineering's submission. What are we seeing here? Mr. Breckenridge, help me out on this. What are we seeing and what are we not seeing?
In my opinion, that they have not responded to two of those comments. One, the city desired rather than a swale from the end of the cul-de-sac to drain the detention basin. They desired an inlet box and pipe. That is yet to be done. And then
Kyle, would you mind coming up to the mic?
The largest issue is the detention. So currently, your ordinance requires meeting the 10-year design storm. They have done that. However, the downstream culverts are undersized. They currently won't even handle the 10-year storm. So with their current design, it would have to overtop the street to handle the design storm. So we requested that they provide detention necessary to meet the downstream culvert sizing, which is in their subdivision. They could do that upstream. They had mentioned, I think, we talked about phase 2. Y'all were talking about regional detention. So we proposed that in order to salvage the lots they have, if they had to size the detention where it is, they wouldn't have any land left for development because of the extra size needed. So that was where they could do upstream detention to satisfy the requirements of the downstream culverts. So that needs to be addressed. While it does meet the ordinance, there's another problem with the downstream culvert size that would have to be addressed. Plus, there's already, you're aware of all the flooding issues that currently occur in South Fork. So that was the concern, that this would exacerbate that.
Okay. Questions from the commission on this?
I think I kind of touched on this last week. I personally would like to see all these questions and issues answered, not just in this, but in all the things that come in front of us before we say, go ahead. In other words, what do we call them in the past where we said, okay, do it contingent on you doing this and contingent on you doing that. I think especially when you're talking about flooding and things like that, I just soon see the plans, have everything set to go before I vote on it.
If you'll let me address both of these or make a comment. So the pipe at the end of the cul-de-sac, Kyle wants, or whoever wants, a curb inlet with a pipe going to the detention. Okay, so if we do that, then we still have to put in a concrete curb cut, because there will be a point in time when that storm drainage pipe will be completely submerged, and then we'll have a whole nother flooding problem. So one of the comments in there was, it's easier to maintain a pipe.
Actually, that was not a comment. The comment was the city understood that. It's going to silt in because you're going to have backwater in the pipe. And the city still wants the pipe. They would rather deal with the pipe instead of swale. So that was the comment. They'll be up to the city to maintain that. They're taking it on. So if they want a pipe, they should get a pipe. They'll jet it out, as needed.
And my comment was, maintaining a pipe is way more costly, time-consuming than having a concrete swale. So that was my response, and my response was, we're going to have to put a concrete swale in anyway, just for a secondary overflow, so to call it. So why not just put in the swale and be done with it? Why have a cost on a cost? The other thing with the detention is, we are meeting the requirements, and this development, I believe, was done in 2005, 2006, so that's when these triple culverts downstream were put in. So the question becomes, is it a city issue or is it a development issue to replace those box culverts? What we're doing with our detention in this phase actually helps out the overall development downstream. It doesn't fix it, but it helps it. It's we proved that it is a better drainage with the detention. Yes, upstream there needs to be more detention, but we can't do that right now. I mean, that's not on our property in a development plan. So we can't do something on something we don't own. And then, so the question is, okay, if the developer says, fine, I won't do these 13 lots, who fixes the road then? Is it still the city? Do you still make this developer do it? I mean, if you don't, if he just throws up his hands and goes, you are putting the burden on me to do something I can't physically do because I don't own the property. And the homeowners call, complain, say, I'm flooding, come fix the culverts. Who does it? It's the city's responsibility.
We already discussed regional retention in phase two. The same owner owns both properties.
Well, phase two, this is phase three. Phase two, I don't know where phase two is. There's a different piece of property that the owner has that is of the upper drainage area that we plan on at some point in time having a larger pond to over detain. But we haven't designed that subdivision. We haven't done anything to it. So I can't give a storm drainage analysis for something that hasn't been done until it's actually done. So, what do? Do you put the cart before the
Kyle,
horse?
Mr. Breckenridge, stand by. Let him finish, and then I'll let you come back to the podium.
And then the last thing is, I think about it this way. If I'm a homeowner in the first phase of that subdivision and I'm flooding and I know I'm flooding and I have a development that's going to go in that's going to widen the detention, help my problem, would I want that or would I not want it? Well, would I want to keep it the way it is with the frequency of flooding versus helping that frequency go down?
All right, Kyle? Kyle, you offered an alternative on this, which was you wanted not the swale. You wanted to go with the drain, right?
Yeah, that's a city preference. That was what they want, a pipe. I understand that. They want a pipe instead of a swale. So the key there is that the top of your curb inlet box has to be above your overflow through your outlet control. If it's not, you're going to flood the street anyway every time you detain water. So obviously it's not going to back up above the curb inlet. It will back up in the pipe and silt. The city would rather deal with that, and it's their maintenance headache, not the developers. The other issue, it will overtop the street. So that's the question, is the city going to provide additional development when the outflow of that detention is going to overtop the street at the design storm? I agree it won't address the issue that's already present, but there's already an issue there, and this would exacerbate that.
Within the 10-year design standards, can it overtop the street now?
Yes.
Okay. Will this add any significant,
No, they're meeting
anything significant to it?
They're meeting the pre-development peak flow based on their calculations. So they're meeting the ordinance.
Okay.
However, the ordinance doesn't address the downstream culvert sizing that, is going to be an issue. It's already an issue.
Can I ask a question here, Mike? Is there any chance that, given the time, because from my limited knowledge, there's two legitimate arguments here. Is there any chance that, given the time, the two sides could come to some sort of agreement where they could come here, address the commission, and both sides agree? Because right now it's a pick and choose thing here, kind of. Is there any chance you two, at given the time, could come to some sort of agreement on what that would make everybody happy?
I'll say this, about the only thing that we can agree to at this point is putting in a pipe. But as far as the detention goes and as far as the ordinance, we feel like we're meeting that and we're helping the issue. What's going to happen in the future, I can't predict that. But we're meeting what's there. The only thing that we're not meeting is the city wants a pipe, and we feel like that's a mistake. And it's my stamp that goes on it, it's not the city's stamp, so if something floods because of it, who do they come after?
Explain how that's gonna change the flood. So the outlet of your detention has to be below the top of your curb. All it's gonna do is cause back.
We'll put a pipe in. I disagree with it, but I'll put a pipe. We'll have minutes from this, and that's fine. But the detention is what it is.
So regarding the detention, what we ask them to do is size it only for the flow, the additional reduction needed to meet the downstream culvert capacity. They could do that now. It doesn't involve it doesn't matter what they do with future development. They're not sizing the detention now. If they prefer to do that, they would have to go ahead and design those plans. We understand that they're not necessarily going to do that now. So the detention size on the offsite area, the upstream area, would just be adequate to meet the downstream culvert capacity. So there would be 2 detention ponds associated with this particular 13 lots, and that would meet the downstream culvert capacity of the 2 street crossings that are currently there.
The mayor had a question. The mayor had something to say.
Okay, all right. Mr. Mayor, you had a question?
This area has been a problem since 2006 or 2007. The city put a moratorium on this subdivision at one time, and there was 30 lots. We would not let anyone buy or build until these problems were resolved. The bank took over the property. The developer came in and bought it for a song and a dance, and then it came back to the city, wanted 30 lots. All right, we had some agreements with the developer. We gave them the 30 lots, and that was against the health and welfare of the citizens, that they were to fix and retain the water. That water has not been retained. They came back and they asked for phase 2. Phase 2 increased the volume and the flow of the water. I don't know if you were the engineer on phase 2, were you? And you cut ditches around the back of the property so it would flow the water around the phase 2 and into the man-made ditch. And if you're asking the city to come back and spend thousands of dollars, we've already spent $400,000 out there to correct the problem for the houses that are now built. And now we're going to ask for a phase 3 to build some more houses and increase the volume of the water. And we should retain the water before it gets the man-made ditch there, and before it gets to Baldwin and Angel Circle. It should be retained right there. Even if we were to go in there and put box culverts, you're increasing that flow of water. I don't understand why you're saying that you need to put that in. Why do we need to put it in if it's not going to increase the water? You're the one that said it right there in your letter. I've got it in my hand. And
They're not increasing the 10-year. They're meeting the 10-year design storm. The problem is the 2 downstream culverts can't handle that.
But they knew that going into phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And why should the citizens of Beebe have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars so you can develop 13 lots there in profit?
Bring up phase 2, the original phase 2 plan. I think this was prior to your involvement here, so this was the wrong engineer's thought too. The original phase 2 plan showed a channelization of that across the development property and replacing those smaller culverts with box culverts, and that never got done. The city did their part with Lloyd Henderson culvert and the driveway culvert.
There's a large acreage of a basin of drainage that goes into that area until it's stopped before it reaches this subdivision, or till it's retained before it enters this subdivision. We're going to continue to have flooding. The water is already at the maximum flow in that ditch at any time. If it's not on that ditch, it's at maximum flow on First Street. And the citizens should not have to spend the money just so a developer can develop property. If there's a problem downstream, for him to develop that property, he should fix it.
Mr. Mayor, before you sit down, can I ask a quick question? I'll ask you what I asked previously. With your involvement, can you see the 2-3 sides here taking a month, sitting down and trying to work something out and coming back next month?
Cal made a recommendation for retention in the South Fork subdivision
And you're good with that recommendation?
But they're not gonna address it. We have the sea property, they don't want to address it at this time. And until that's addressed, that's where all the water comes from, the majority of the water. And it's not gonna fix it. It's not even telling us what size of the detention pond, how much it's gonna retain.
So what you're saying is you're okay with Kyle's recommendation?
I'm not okay with the city spending taxpayers' funds to grant development property.
Guys, we got quite a crowd out here. Do we want to open this up to public comment?
Sure.
Is there anybody out in the audience that would like to speak on this, Phase 3 of South Fork?
Basically, we're all here for the previous matter.
Yeah, okay. All right. Commissioners, you've got a request for a preliminary plat for South Fork Phase 3 in front of you. We haven't actually reviewed the designs yet. You want to take a look at them?
Without these things being dealt with.
Do we even need to look at some
I don't-
plans, or not okay with the city engineer?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not an engineer.
Okay.
Oh, and we did address. it
Again, let
in
me ask
phase
a question. Do we want to look at the plans?
two. No.
All right. So what's the will of this commission?
So do you want to just table it and for 30 days and see what we can possibly come up with?
I mean, last time, was there not a bond that was put, and I don't think you were the engineer, so I'm not attacking you. I don't want you to speak out of turn, but I vaguely remember there being a bond, there was an issue with the bond being put up, and some of the things that were supposed to be addressed in that bond weren't satisfied, to my knowledge. Is that correct, Mayor?
That's my understanding.
I
Well, I mean, it's the same developer and the same subdivision, just a different phase, so, I mean, I don't wanna,
I know,
I'm
I'm pretty sure phase 1 and phase 2 are not the same developer.
Okay. So the
But phase two
issues,
and phase three are the same development.
Phase 2 and phase 3
Those are the
same
ones that we're
developer.
Right.
concerned about.
the issues that were supposed to be addressed, right?
What did you say? What did you say?
Phase 1 and phase 2 are not the same developer?
No, phase 1, there was only a portion of the lot that was built on, and it was stopped, a moratorium was put on it. Now, phase 1, the same developer finished and built 30 houses out in phase 1, and then he added to it in phase 2, and now adding to it in phase 3. He's just continuing to create the flooding out there.
But he was asking about a bond? A bond was put up?
I don't
We never
remember.
put a bond up, we had a half a dozen agreements for work to be done and bonds to be put up, and nothing was ever.
So that.
There was a bond for the infrastructure that we're addressing right now, that the bond was never put up, and we went back and forth on an agreement on a price for that to fix this infrastructure issue if we were gonna continue this development. I was on the city council at that time. I'm not any longer. So, that was addressed back then before we're ever to where we are now. And again, I'm not attacking you. I don't even think you were the engineer at the time. I'm just saying, this goes back a little further than just what we're looking at here tonight.
I can't address the bond. I have no idea.
All right, it sounds like we need to review and address this water issue before the commission is willing to move forward. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Would you like to table this? Go ahead and,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table this. And I don't know if we can attach this to it, but it needs to be tabled, I would say, at least until the city, both the mayor and Kyle and the developer can come to something, come back here and, everybody agrees on it.
so instead of putting a time on your table, you want to have some kind of a agreeable plan.
Yeah, because, coming back here and hashing back and forth and not being able to make a decision is getting us nowhere.
All right, there's a motion to table until the city engineer and the bond engineering can come back with an agreeable plan. Is there a second to that motion?
Second that.
Multiple seconds, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, James, I need to throw you under the bus.
Uh-oh.
Well, when I looked at the agenda that you sent out last week, there was a rezone request, and it specifically says in 14.3.5, any amendments to the zoning district maps. Part B says you take it, the materials, you bring it in, you get all the statements, and then you bring it to the commission and let the commission set the date.
Yes, sir.
It seems like, from what I saw, we had mail-outs and everything for a public hearing tonight. We never had an opportunity to review this, so I caution you, don't put it ahead of us. Allow us to review it. We could have not had this, all these people come out here that were thinking we're gonna have a public hearing because they got something in the mail that says there was gonna be a public hearing, okay? Let the commission look at it. Sounds like by this commission, there was no desire to take this up until we met that 6-month point. So this is just another example. Let the commission have a look at it before you announce for the public hearing, okay? Thank you. All right, we've got a lot of folks out here. Is there anything that needs to be brought up that's outside of what we've already talked about tonight?
I may be in the wrong meeting. I'm not sure. I'm not a political person, but is this property that we're talking about here this evening adjoining Christine Lane and Heather Lane?
Again, if you're talking about something that we discussed tonight, we've already settled all that, put it behind us. So if there's going to be a public hearing on anything that we're doing in the future, we'll announce it. You'll be properly notified. As for, if you're talking about what's going out there on Duggar,
Well, my letter says Duggar.
yeah,
My family,
we've already put that behind us. If it comes up again for a public hearing, you'll be duly notified. Okay?
okay,
All right,
okay, I'm in the wrong place again.
that's okay. All right. Any other business to bring before this commission?
I think we should thank, we got a bunch of folks out here who are taking interest in what's going on in the city. So I think I can speak for all of us here. We appreciate y'all coming out. Please don't stop doing that because we function best when we hear from you.
Yeah. Again, thank you. We know why you guys are out here. But it was not a proper format for us to take up. So when the time has come, you'll be duly notified and we'll give you an opportunity to speak in a public forum. Okay? Thank you. Is there a motion to
Motion to adjourn.
adjourn? If there's a motion, is there a second? There's a second? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Meeting's over.